Welcome everybody to episode 65 of New Game Experience. I am Juan Paolini and I'm sitting here with my co-host, the one and only Christian Caroli. How are you, my friend?
Hello.
Christian. We love you so much. And John Gantes, how are you?
All good. All fine.
Don't you have a gimmick or something like what Christian just did?
I will. At some point, I'm going to buy some, effects. I'm going to put a green screen behind me and I'm going to have like fireworks and stuff when I do one of my jokes.
Because, he's raising the stakes. So you kind of you're going to have to,
Yeah. I'm gonna rent a professional studio just to up Christian next time. So
I'm gonna raise the stakes and eat the steaks because I like meat.
Yes, this is what this podcast needs.
Sound effects. Welcome to New Game Experience Radio.
Oh my god, I hate those sounds so much. Like it just triggers something within me that I just hate it so much. But I do love your sound effects, Christian. You can play those whenever you want. But we're not here to talk about gimmicks. We're here to talk about... maybe this is related to gimmicks, but not directly. So we're here to talk about games with a redemption arc. And not in the way that you may be thinking, because it's not like a redemption arc of the character that blah, blah, blah. No. It's actually the games that have come out in a dire state, that have come out like broken or, not living up to expectations. And then through updates and through hard work from the developer side, they've been able to not only become good games, but also beloved games. And there's a couple of examples that we will go through. But I think that this is a very fascinating conversation to be had, because first of all, 10 years ago, this was not even possible. Well, maybe 10 years ago is kind of... I'm kind of old and I can't really measure.
It was definitely
so well.
possible 10 years
Yeah.
ago.
No, 15 years ago, I think it was not possible. Maybe,
I think that 2007, yeah, I mean, I would say even because Warcraft 3 had like, I mean, like it was already great when it came out. That was the other thing. Like games usually were like, if they were great, they would be great like from the start. Otherwise, like fuck them, I'm not gonna wait for an update.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that 15 years ago it was very, very rare for a game to make it.
Exactly. And now we've seen things like I was gonna say New Game Experience. I don't know why, but we have things like No Man's Sky. We have Sea of Thieves, which is actually the game that inspired this whole episode, because we've actually been playing it. But we'll get into that later. I put in
as well. Yeah.
Anthem, of course. Yeah, we have some horror stories.
Oh my god!
you hadn't heard that name in like ages, right?
This is we just switched realities, and this is the reality where they made a comeback. Yeah, Anthem is so good, man. I played it with my friends a little while ago. It was just great. It has like all these expansions, this new player experience, upgrade. Like I don't know.
Yeah, they really saved it, didn't they?
It's incredible. It's incredible. BioWare hasn't made a bad game in this dimension. It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh my god, it's so sad. That is one of those jokes where you laugh, and then when your face comes up, there's actually tears. Right?
It's like, wow, the game was bad.
Yeah, I know. And it's funny because John and I have had this friend who he's like an Anthem advocate. And
wow,
we would yeah. And we would always kind of make fun of him, and it was fun.
I'm just gonna say, I paid €2 for that game, and I honestly feel that I waste €2. I could have just gotten a coffee. Like
I didn't play. I haven't played it. Like in the end, like I was never able to like play it.
I mean, it's on Game Pass if you want to.
Yes. I actually was like subscribed to the subreddit. And man, that was so like I had to unsubscribe because like when it came out, it was like I'm probably gonna like get on. Like this is my thing. Sometimes I try to get on board day one with games, and that's like a death sentence for the game. Or the game
Especially
comes
for these types of games, yeah.
yeah, or the game comes out and like there's not that much like content that you can really make on top of it. I don't know, stuff like that. So for this one, I was like, yeah. And then I couldn't really play it in the first weeks, and then I really didn't have any chance. And then the reviews came out, and it was like I just wasted this fucking money, and that was it. Like I honestly never gave it another chance. And on Reddit, like everyone was just hating on it. And when they said like we're not gonna do anything else with this, we're just gonna like leave the servers turned on, it was like, wow, this guys really gave up.
Yeah, and I think that what really put salt on the wound was, you killed Mass Effect for this, and
Yeah, some of
you
that, something
will
like
not
that.
even went all the way through the end. Like at least give something decent to justify killing such an amazing IP for this.
But BioWare is kind of like this weird studio that at some point someone was like, "Oh, can you make MMOs?" And they were like, "No, okay, now you make MMOs." You know.
I wonder who that someone would have been. Like,
Mm.
who could have that been? Yeah, that's weird.
And then people were like, "Oh, and the writers left." And it's like, "Oh, writers didn't want to work on an MMO." Isn't that
That's
the best part? It's just weird. Mind that.
Were they maybe annoyed that they had nothing to do in that studio? Something like that. Yeah, it's pretty sad to have seen. I mean, this is actually like the opposite of the redemption arc, because this is like BioWare, a beloved studio.
Yeah. Because I think that it's good to like explain a little bit what's not a redemption arc.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
and then it's like, oh, but on the contrary.
Exactly. We start with like a subversive start to the podcast. I love that. So, but yeah, this is actually the complete opposite of what we're going to be talking about. As I said, it's like No Man's Sky. I put Destiny in this list. I know that when this kind of gets talked about, Destiny is not included, but I think like I was there day one with Destiny back in 2013. And that game, like it's not even like a shadow of what it was. No, sorry, the opposite. Before it was nothing, and now it has so many things. Like it's evolved so much. Yeah, exactly.
It literally had the multiplayer, which at that point it was like, why do we even need this? Then it had like, man, now this is a problem with my memory. Fails me horribly because like all the fucking names that game had. Did it have like the Nightfalls when it came out? I don't think so. Like it had the strikes. That was there. There were no raids.
Yeah, no, there were no raids.
Were like the lost sectors.
Yeah, I think it did have that as well. But like, whenever you finish the story, and the story was like the most disappointing thing. One of the most disappointing things I've ever played is Destiny Vanilla, because it was like nothing. There was nothing there. No character. Nothing. Like nothing.
That wizard came from the moon.
Yeah, that famous Peter Dinklage thing that he did, and
they actually put him inside the ghost because it was kind of like the same size.
Yeah, he actually fit, so it was like
that's why they picked him. He fit in the little ghost.
Oh my god!
Nolan North couldn't fit in, and then Troy Baker was even bigger. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like we gotta get Peter Dinklage. We don't have the technology yet.
It's funny because I imagine it like a Pokeball, like like they hit them. And
it's like Nolan North, like I can't do this. I really want the money, but sorry, I'm gonna.
Just imagine how much he will have charged nowadays doing that role. Before, after Game of Thrones, like now they cannot even pay him. Like I don't think they will be able to.
No way. No, but yeah, because it was kind of like at the beginning of Game of Thrones that people were like, "Oh my god, this guy has like a cool voice," and then he just probably showed up to the studio and like read the whole fucking thing with no emotion whatsoever.
Yeah, he's actually I kind of heard a podcast with him and Mark Maron.
Yeah, I heard the episode.
And he's like a very serious artist, and he takes his work pretty seriously. And I imagine he would be the kind of guy who, with all due respect, he has no respect for video games. So maybe he just phoned that in because he was like, who gives a shit?
He had no respect for Game of Thrones. I don't say like from like I'm quoting him, like he's not a fantasy guy. Like he couldn't give a shit how, like if the show was bad at the end or whatnot. He's probably looking at his paycheck and be like, this was massive win.
Absolutely. So yeah, I did include Destiny here because I mean right now it's beloved. Christian plays it very often. I mean maybe not now, but you've been in the Destiny train.
I still
We've
play it. I still like kind of like a nightfalls, launch sectors. Like it's just the one thing for me is that it has like I played it day one as well, and it was like this is really not what I was expecting, even though it was like completely my jam. And then I jumped in again, and it was like, wow, this is 100% my jam. The only because also like the grindy part, I don't really care that much. So if I have kind of like a mediocre weapon, then I'm like, "Ah, I'm good, you know. So like I really think I can enjoy the game for what it is, and when you play it with people, it's super fun. So it's been like a really really good experience.
So let's get into the topic, into the meat of what we're going to be talking about. First of all, as we always do, general impressions. What do you think about the whole idea of games, non specifically, that can release in a state and then just be able to fix itself? Do you think it's positive? Do you think it's negative? Let's start with Christian this time.
I think there are some games where you could just like make an argument for that it could happen. Like if you have a game like Among Us that everyone like it's existed for like a gazillion years and like no one was playing it until it hit Twitch. And now it's super famous and people are like, oh, this game sucks, it crashes, like it has server issues. Just like they can definitely fix it. Like it could become like a really, really good game. And especially when games like under promise, but I think like and you can have faith in those, but also I think that that's the reason why now we have the format of early access, that I think that when it's well executed, it really works out. Like you can charge less for the game, be like, hey fellas, give us feedback, we're going to be working on this, be part of the development as a player, and then the game kind of like grows out of its shell. So I think and there are like a lot of successful games that they've done that. The things like AAA games can't really do that. They have to launch and then start work. And I think that some of them you see it at the core, they're really cool. Like I think that a game like, for example, like Destiny, you could say like this could be really cool if they add more stuff, and then they did, and it was like, wow, this is cool.
Hmm.
What about you, John?
Well, I do think it's complicated because the way I see it, it's I do think games should launch in a playable state, not in an incomplete. And then I promise you that one day we're gonna reach there. No, it should get like what you said with Among Us. It came out. It is nice. It's just now that you have like this influx of people that some issues starting to happen. But the game was solid from the start. So I think that's how things should be. Unfortunately, whatever is going to make the news is I don't want to say underdog story, but like when you have everything against you and then you go against the No Man's Sky is like the biggest example. They did overpromise. They did, like, it's been talked, I think, a lot, that everything was over promise, over hyped. Even I don't remember his name, but the creator, the director of the studio of Hello Games, he says that, hey, I was just not a people's person. I didn't knew how to handle all these things, all this attention, all this um, focus on me. So I went.
Sean Murray, by the way.
Sure, more.
Thank you. So yeah, and then he overpromised, and then this happens. But then that makes a better movie story, a better script, being this defeated, like rock bottom, and then suddenly after a lot you come out and be like the best thing ever. Even with Destiny, this thing came with a lot of hate and a lot of bad juju and energy or whatever, and then suddenly become this thing that is nowadays. So yeah, it's a complicated thing for me. I think it makes for a better story when you do it that way, but it should definitely be, as you said, like a solid game from the start, that then you start adding stuff and you're clear since the beginning, hey, this is a game that is going to be a live service game, so it's going to be getting content in etc etc, like in 3 months, in 6 months we have a roadmap that we want to follow to give giving this. And yeah, that's not going to make the news, but it's what I would expect, especially when you're asking 60 or like full price for a game. That is my, at least that you can deliver. It's like, yeah, the game is not complete right now, but it's playable, it's not broken, you don't have bugs, servers are fine, you can play your thing, and then you just wait three
I,
months
I
six
think
months
that transparency is kind of like the biggest issue for those things. Like, just be transparent. And it's like, this is the game that you're gonna get, and we're gonna keep working on it. And then you're gonna make like a gazillion headlines. I think that when Blackout dropped. That was kind of like the first battle royale from the people from Call of Duty. It was like, okay, this is kind of like our first kick at battle royale. It has some good things. Like we're gonna take the level design that we know, and we're gonna like put it around the map in a smallish map and whatnot. And then they iterated on top of that, and eventually now you have something like Warzone, and it's a lot. It's it's alive. Like you can have like certain expectations, but I think that one of the most important things with these things is like when you promise a game and then that game doesn't really exist. And I think that the case of No Man's Sky was insane because they were like, you can be in 300 million planets. And it's like, well, those are basically the permutations because of the set of attributes that you can create the planets with. It's you're not going to visit 3 million planets. And then when you sell that experience and then you actually play the game, it's very, very different. I mean, I don't think that people were even aware that it was kind of like a survival crafting game. Like 100%, I think people just thought that you're gonna have a ship, and then you were going to like
A defined story
yeah,
path that you will follow, and it's an action adventure game. So yeah,
something like that. And I think that the first trailer that they showed, that was kind of like I don't. It wasn't like even a technical demo. It was kind of like this is our vision of the game, and then that would never happen. Like that trailer would never be able to like come on board. I always talk in this podcast about like Night City Wire, which was kind of like the podcast for well, it's not the podcast format. It was kind of like the news format for Cyberpunk,
Yeah,
and they were
mhm.
promising so many things that they never existed. That it's like, dude, you're just making shit up. Like they still have some of those episodes, but but like you still see it today. It's like, what game are you talking about? Like this is not. It was never going to happen. Like the police can't even chase you, and sometimes they'll go, "Yeah, we have this spectacular chase." It's like, no, you have one that is completely scripted. It's on rails,
and
like
it's
nothing.
not even half like you show me. It's kind of mediocre, to be honest. Even the scripted sequences. Yeah, yeah. Don't remind me of that time. I was really hyped for those, and I was on point every time that the one of these Night City things came out. Just there, sitting, waiting for it, like a little kid back in the day, waiting for the new Dragon Ball episode. And suddenly, yes, yeah, then yeah, we know how that. That's another. Yeah, that could be another. Not what it is a redemption arc at all.
Because we
But
were
Yeah.
discussing that, like, could that happen to them? Like, could they?
I
And to be
wish.
fair, I wish they could do that, but like, I don't think it could happen. Like, I play the game, and I don't think that it's a game. Like, they could fix all the bugs for sure. It could be like a completely playable game. It could end up being like even to some extent fun, but some things are like not really next gen. Like, I think at best it would be kind of like a quirky RPG game that they definitely need to balance. So
Yeah, and I don't think it will reach the same level as The Witcher 3 at all. They can because they cannot really fix the core of the game. Like this is the game that you made, and you were promising another completely different game. So
even
yeah,
the whole thing at
it's,
the beginning with like the origin stories, the the time gap, like I don't know, like there are things in that game that you obviously, if you ask yourself like, okay, what if they change that quick I don't know, montage that happens on the 6 month after you choose, like, by the way, if someone hasn't played it, basically what happens is like you choose kind of like an origin story, and then the nomad origin story is kind of like a spectacular, like it's really like explosions, chases, and whatnot. And some other origin stories are really cut material. Like there's one origin story which is, I think it's like the corpo, that basically you go to a meeting and then you go to a bar and they tell you you're fired. Like that's the fucking it's obvious that they cut content there. Like there's no fucking way that one origin is like a high speed chase, dealing drugs and whatnot, and the other one is kind of like a Zoom meeting where you're like, nope. Yeah, I know they told you that you were gonna do some, really sneaky corporate shit. It's not gonna happen. Like, if they were like, "Hey guys, I know we lied to you. Like, we're gonna change that, and then we're gonna put consequences and some things." If they rework it that way, I think, of course, yeah, yeah. But that's not gonna happen. That's not what they're working on right now. If anything, it's just gonna be like barely playable, or maybe it will look really good and stuff
yeah,
like
we're
that.
gonna have some ray tracing and 60 frames per second, and that's it. Like
Yeah, I think that I mean I agree with most of what you've said. The problem I find with this whole redemption thing, whether it is with a game that already did it, whether it is for a game that's kind of awaiting that redemption, which in this case would be Cyberpunk. even though I know you two are not very optimistic of whether that can be the case. But I think that, so the problem that I find, and it's something that also you said, Christian, is the transparency. So if, let's take an example like Hades. Hades was released in early access, I believe, from like 2018 or maybe even earlier.
It was a full year in early access.
Okay. And you know, they communicated that the game's in early access. Like there's no, I mean, you go, if you go into it, you know kind of what to expect. It's, the game is not finished. You're gonna be we're gonna be relying on your feedback. So you know, there's a whole thing that goes into that. I remember that the same thing happened when Stadia launched. Stadia launched in a state where there were like, I don't know the percentage, but it's like 60% of the features that they had promised, which eventually came, were not there. And why are you calling this a launch then? Call it an early access. If you call it that, people are going to know what to expect when they come in, and you're not going to be judged as harshly. So I think that's like one part of it. But then another part of it, and this is like the, let's say, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like when you're very like not the word's not pessimistic, but it's like when you're very like jaded. But what's the actual word for jaded? No, it's not sarcastic.
Irreverent, it's like insensitive.
Well, let's go with jaded just to go to the very jaded way to say this would be like maybe companies are seeing that the release date is coming. They know that they're not going to be able to do it, but they know that if they delay more, it means more of a time commitment, of course, but also more money commitment as well. So they kind of,
it's investors in the end just pushing them. Hey, I want my money. I want my return already. Like you promised this, give me my money back.
So they kind of say, okay, what if we pull a No Man's Sky and we just release the game in a poor state and then just kind of fix it on the way? I mean, it's a very hit or miss thing, because if you miss, you kind of get fucked. But I don't know.
Well, deliver it in a solid, like in a decent playable state. That I think is the bare minimum. If you give people a good experience, like a stable with nobody's asking like 3 million rates and whatever. Just if you go into but just give me a decent fun time that I can have for at least 6 months, 7 months, and take your time. It's fine, because the content that you gave me, it's solid. I can play it. It's there. That's it. Then I can wait. And you're aware of that, you know.
Also, there's the fact that like there has to be a way of doing that, and also I think we were discussing that with Cyberpunk as well, which is like I think that No Man's Sky, they were doing like incremental changes, that some of the updates were just like considerably making things better, and like, you know, and there were like 4 updates a year, and they had kind of like a very clear developer roadmap, and it's like, this is how we're gonna do it. And the core game, you know, it was pretty. It had the things that he had to do, and like they were like making things even better and better and better. But I think that also it's kind of like it's a living game. Like it's the nature of that game that if you say, and I played that for 6 months, and it was cool, and I played it by myself. It was like a very relaxing game at times. But I think that at the same time, it was something that anyone can pick up at any certain time and just experience by themselves and then come back at it. But I don't think that some games can really do that. Like, if you already played Cyberpunk, why would you play that again? Like, what's you know, like it's not really gonna be like that.
Unless you give me a DLC or an extension of the story or something like that, there's honestly not a really good reason to go. But I would do it because I really want that game to succeed. Even though it really beat me down, I really want to see a redemption on that game, and I want to say, oh, I really like the game, which I like it, but yeah, it was a complete disappointment. So, but yeah, for a normal person, what would be the reason for you to go back? If I already played the game, I already saw how it ends. What is there to offer? So,
and it's not this open thing that it's like, oh, I'm gonna like. I think that a lot of the mistakes that we're assuming with them as a redemption is like, the game at some point they're really gonna have to change like a lot of things in order for it to be like something that it's worth kind of saving, you know, like because the other part is like the people that have not bought this game will buy it, which is also something that they probably need. But in the case of things like No Man's Sky, that game has been on PSN Plus. It had like also like No Man's Sky. I don't think they had any like all these updates have been free. Like I don't know if that
Yeah,
studio
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
being like
Everything has been free. Yeah.
funded by Microsoft and Sony at the same time, or what the fuck's going on. But it's like it's really a game that it strives up on his. I'm actually gonna check out like the team charts for No Man's Sky, but it's a game that it's really alive. I don't know.
Yeah.
At least
I,
that's kind of like I see it. You know, like
I played for the first time last year. I remember around March or something like that, 2021. It was the first time that I honestly I bought the game, and I was like, for some reason I saw it on sale like 20 euros or something, and I was like, whatever, let's try it. Because I was hearing a lot of good things, like a lot of people praising the game. Hey, the game is, and I was blown away. I was like, man, this game is insane. The amount of content, activities, things that you can do, it is just crazy good.
yeah.
If you like that type of games, of course. But
I'm
eh,
seeing it like there's 8,000 concurrent players playing just right now on Steam, and this is a game that's on Game Pass. So
yeah, and it's
there's
extremely active community. Like Reddit is extremely active. People are always, and they're always praising the developers, which is a really weird thing to see.
this game is
So
probably being like played by I want to like I don't know like, I have no fucking idea, but probably like 10 times. Like when you think about like people have like if you play this game, you probably have Game Pass. So a lot of people are probably playing this on Xbox. Also, like the Epic Store has it. Like it's. I mean, obviously, like Steam Charge is a good place to have kind of like a temperature of like whether this game is shit or not.
yeah, it's like a
But it's,
baseline of the
but also like the way they communicate it and the way that they've grown is kind of like you know
yeah, and hearing the community, like hearing what people want, doing small updates as well as big expansion packs, like it is insane and that's how you notice that this is actually a passion project from for this development team, Hello Games. They really are invested in this game. They really want this game to succeed. It's like the vision of Sean, the director, coming like what he had like I don't know 5 years ago. I don't know when really No Man's Sky came out. Like he's now realizing it's yeah it took 5 years because honestly it's a massive game, like it's not a lie when you say that it's pretty much an infinite game. So yeah
uh,
it's
I'm
sorry.
taking a look at some charts of this redemption arc thingy. Like, for example, right now there are 50,000 people playing The Witcher 3. 50,000. That's like a. And the peak, here's the cool thing the peak is 103,000. So, this game right now, it's kind of like as alive as it's ever been. You know, like it's definitely like a game that is just like brimming with people playing it and trying new builds and the peak of Cyberpunk on Steam was 800. Damn, there's like it's almost a million people. It's only a million, almost a million players, like just on Steam, like 830,000. Like it's a lot, you know. And they had that, and now it's 18
800,000
18
disappointed people, but
18,000 people playing it. You make those numbers. Like for example, No Man's Sky, which is a niche game, because in the end, that's the other thing with No Man's Sky. Like, I don't think like it's for everyone. Obviously, like everyone would like to have a ship and go like around in space, but it's not really. It's not really that easy, you know.
yeah, it's a game that asks you like it asks you to make your own adventure. Like you need to create your own thing. There's no like defined path that you're gonna follow. You need to create what you want to be. You want to join other people. You want to create your own base in different planets. You want to colonize planets, name planets, galaxies, or fight people. Like it's choose your own adventure type of game. And yeah, of course, it's not for anybody because hey, some people say, hey, I don't have the not the creativity, but the time or like the energy. I just want like a linear thing or a path to follow and see a story develop. And yeah, so but I do think No Man's Sky is like the biggest, or what, if not like one of the biggest redemption stories in the video game industry. Like it's just insane. Like it's such a great game, and that just needed more time and a bit more clarity and transparency from the creators, the developers, and yeah, but they managed to do it. And now I don't honestly know anybody who hates the game, or if they hate the game because you actually hate that type of game, which is completely valid. But there's
Flat
no like
Earthers.
exactly, or yeah, and you are like, I hate this game because the planets
Insane.
are flat. What is this
Because
craziness?
it's
It's not real.
perpetuating an
Gravity.
idea that's yeah.
What is gravity? That's
It's
unreal.
not
Yeah,
real. You
yeah,
can't
like
fly into
dinosaurs. That's
space.
an invention of yeah.
There's no
So
space. Everything is
So,
Earth.
and then it's a complete, well, it's not a valid reason, but okay, like we can accept that. But yeah, you cannot, at the core of the game, you cannot say it's a bad game. No, it's a game that works and it has like, you see any trailer of any release or any massive expansion that they do, and it's exactly that, like what you mentioned. Like the first trailer, it was like complete marvelous world with everything, and then you go into the game and it was pretty barren, pretty much Pokemon Arceus type of
And the animals
environments.
were ugly as fuck.
And now you see it, now it's exactly what you're seeing. It's like it's in game, like in engine capture of what you're seeing is what you're gonna play, and that's amazing. And that's
But yeah,
it's
it's
fantastic.
I think it's amazing too, and I like it. By the way, the word I was looking for a couple of minutes ago was cynical.
Cynical.
But yeah, like the cynical way to the blah blah blah. But yeah, so I agree with John that, I mean, I also played it a little bit. I thought it was really it has a lot of charm. It has a lot of um like you can see that it has love. I don't know. Kind of sounds kind of stupid, but it is a good game.
Yeah, it's a passion project. Yeah.
Exactly. However, I can't forget the fact that the same way that the CD Projekt Red guys literally lied about the game they were making, about the game that was shown to the public. Like, they hid versions of the game that were unplayable because of obvious reasons. I mean, this is of course like the evolution. If Deception were a Pokemon, CD Projekt Red would be the third evolution. But No Man's Sky, like, they also promised, like, that they promised that they would have multiplayer, and then people would meet in the same place and not be able to see each other. Like what you mentioned about the creatures that were all like bonkers. Like
They got
they
the
also
guy had a
lied.
vision, yeah, but because I think that Sean Murray had a vision that it's not like that technically easy to achieve. Like it's like, oh, you're gonna go to, like it's really really hard to create kind of like a permanent universe, like as digital as you want it to be, and be like, oh, let's all go to this planet and we'll find each other there. Like, if you want to do that, like technically, it's not as if you're gonna like simulate a physical universe where people go with a ship and then you're like moving from X to Y and being like, like, you really need to like do a very traditional multiplayer kind of thing. That, okay, we need to set up kind of like a server for this planet, and then you basically land on the planet and we tell the server that both people are there, and then we start the interaction. But like, it's not like that vision of like an app, like kind of like a physical space, kind of like it happens in Outer Wilds, which is kind of like another technical space game. It's it's not the same that happens in No Man's Sky. So that vision, in order to execute it, like, you need time, you need technology, and also you need like a lot of resources. But because a lot of the things that you need to build, like these ships, they require kind of like a lot of teams that are just like basically constantly like building not only the ships, but also like if you want to like do it like procedurally, like it happens with the animals. It's like you could do some things, but you also need to like improve your methods so the animals don't look like shit. Which at the beginning there was like, why am I even in this planet? Like it's like the palm trees are bigger, and like there were things that they really improved. Um, and it took time, so they had to be more transparent, which is like, hey, this is a long-term project. And I think that probably, I don't know if there's ever going to be kind of like a no Man's Sky 2 or something like that, because they're probably going to like move to a different monetization spectrums, in the same way that I don't think that there's going to be kind of like a Fortnite 2 game. And also I'm surprised that there's going to be like an Overwatch 2. It's kind of like the same idea of like, telling people like, hey, we're in it for the long haul, and bear with us. We have the resources to do it. And I think that one game that we picked up and on that was like Sea of Thieves, which also, like, when it came out, everyone was like, okay, this is fun, but it's just a bunch of fetch quests, pain in the ass, like whatnot. And I think that one of the things when you make a game could be just a bunch of like, when you experience it could be just fetch quests, like happens with Sea of Thieves. But then if there's nothing else, and there's nothing else, like that's really a turn off for people. Like, even if people are only going to do fetch quests, they like the idea that the game is alive, that you have more stuff to do, that you could bump a little bit outside from what you're usually doing and experience stuff. And I think that's one of the things that when you're going back into Destiny nowadays, it's fun because there's so much to do that you don't feel like you're missing out. Like, you don't feel like you're not missing out. Like, you feel like, I'm missing out, I should play this more, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Sea of Thieves is like the main inspiration, as I said before, for this episode, really, because we've all been playing it. I believe you two are a little bit more in love with it than I am, but that doesn't mean that I'm not loving it. I think it's really, really special as well.
I'm never committed a crime until yesterday when when basically we harassed another player by stealing their treasures and then burning their ships.
Burning their ship to not to the ground because it's on the sea, but to the water. I don't know how
Burn
to
it
call it.
down.
We
Burn
burned
it
it down.
down.
Let them burn.
When
And
it
you
burned
know
it down,
what?
we sunk the ship, and then the only thing they said when they met us at the beginning was "ahoy."
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Like it's like that. I mean, I was fine with the whole thing until you guys told me that he was said like ahoy because it was like, oh my god, no.
Hey, I learned the lesson the hard way, and I'm just teaching him how this game works. So they did that
Sea
to
of
us.
thieves,
Hey,
not
yeah,
sea
exactly.
of friends.
Exactly. So hey, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. I'm sorry, not really, but hey, I got fucked last night too. So hey, it's your turn now.
Also, this is a game that I think that a lot of people were asking and demanding things from it, like, oh, we should do this and we should have that and we should have. And also, it seems like it's a very opinionated pool of developers, and they do things like, oh, some people are like, we should have like a PVE only server, and the devs are like, nope, that's not this game. That will never happen. You can, but at the beginning, it was something that some people were like, I can't do anything in the game, and the only thing I can do, I get like ganked by four other players and they wreck me up, and it's like, well, that's the game. And I think that that's also part of what it takes to do this redemption arc, is also kind of like ignore the haters and understand kind of like what the positive feedback is that you actually have to implement. And that has to be very hard because most people are just going to tell you that you have to like give up and just never work in this industry again.
You know that's actually a good thing that you're saying because you know in this internet age, it's sometimes hard to discern between the haters and the positive feedback. Sometimes it's very obvious which is which, but sometimes it's not. You know, because people communicate through text, and through text you don't get any like facial thing where you know the tone, blah blah blah, and that kind of exacerbates all of these things. But yeah, I totally agree. And you know, I did want to mention this other game that had not a redemption arc per se because it wasn't bad in the beginning. It was just kind of maybe not outstanding. It was just like maybe the word is mediocre, although I think that word is also a little bit harsh. But it's Death's Gambit. I played this game back in December. This game came out back in 2018. It was okay. It was like a Metroidvania, kind of with Souls elements. I mean, there's a ton of those nowadays. But then they kept working on the game, and last year, 2021, like 3 years after release, they came out with a free update that kind of recontextualizes, like it adds a ton of stuff, but it also recontextualizes the ending of the game in a way that thought it was really, really interesting. So I just wanted to mention like this little point of, like I respect when these devs say, okay, we need to work on this. Like let's just hunker down and work and make this what we originally wanted it to be, because that's the same thing that happened with No Man's Sky. Like I believe Sean Murray, after the thing came out and the reviews were horrible, they went like radio silent for like a year or maybe even more just to fix the game and make it what it is today.
Well, but
So-
he did write like a letter saying like, we're gonna fix this game.
okay.
Like I think that was kind of like the commitment. It's like, we're gonna work on this, bring a really massive update, and we think we're gonna get there.
Yeah, but like I compared sort of with the cyberpunk thing where they don't shut up and they're always saying that they're bringing new stuff, and I just don't see any change in the discourse.
They're also
you know,
a
it's like
yeah, but also CD Projekt is a public traded company on Europe. So
True.
so they actually need to do shit that moves the needle significantly and be able to tell because if you tell your stakeholders like, we're incrementally making our game better, they're gonna be like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? Like, when are you gonna sell more games? And some people have the expectation that they're gonna release like a massive patch that fixes everything. But I really don't know what they're gonna do. And like also like DLC wise, I don't know what they're gonna do. Like if hopefully they do a good DLC, and hopefully it's kind of like a standalone thing that really pushes the envelope in some direction other than having ray tracing, because like it's not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough. Yeah,
Absolutely.
At least to win back the people, it's not gonna be enough. Like
And
Yeah.
also, like, there are games out there like consistently making their game better and better and better and better. And they're good like almost from the moment that they came out. Like Slay the Spire, like Dead Cells, like I don't know, like some games are like just really good, and they keep making them better.
Yep. Well, boys, I think we're ready to move to the Sea of Thieves part of the show. I mean, we kind of touched a little upon it a little bit, but I'd love to hear more about our experiences. Unless you have another thing that you wanted to say, or maybe another example that you kind of thought of that would be interesting to bring up.
No,
Yeah, yeah, no. I mean, I think there's a lot of redemption arcs there out there, but yeah, I just want to talk about Sea of
Okay.
Thieves because it's the best
Well,
game
it's
ever
the best
made.
game ever. Probably I will become a pirate full time.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is my new destiny, my new COD. Even that
wow.
this game is just too good, man. It's too good.
I'm so happy to hear that because I remember when this game hadn't come out yet, like the trailers looked really good. I didn't have an Xbox, but I always kept like a list of the games that I would play when I would get an Xbox eventually. And this one was in there. Then came the reviews and everything, and I saw actually a review by ACG back in 2018 just to see what the problems were with the game. And apparently, the let's say skeleton, pardon the pun, of the game was the same, of course, but it was like a very bare bones. Again, a pun. Because they didn't have like the tall tales. I don't believe that they had like all these emergent things that they have now. Where you like the other day we went to a shrine and it was so good because you went in there and then you're kind of like in this cave in the bottom of the sea and you're solving puzzles and it's
We had
all
no fucking
so
idea what was going on. Like we literally discovered that that dungeon was there. Like that's also like something that it's really hard to get with most games because they're like go there, consume this content, do this thing. Even the only thing I would say they push in from the main menu is, oh, do this uh, Jack Sparrow single player thing with it, please, because like it probably costs like billions of dollars to get Disney on board with that. So I think that it's also a game that when it like you could make a case for like all the things that this game has you doing that other games will never do. Like you literally have to deliver your loot to the store and like carry box by box like a fucking like I don't know like a fucking sailor. And I think that's part of the charm. Like you don't have something that you point in the map like blip blip, like
fast
mark it
travel
there. You
like
don't have that.
nothing.
There's no fast travel. You're literally a pirate. There's
Yeah,
no,
exactly. And there are things in the game that should in paper be annoying that are actually quite good. Like for example, if you get shot, you get these holes in your ship and you have to fix them and you have to like pull the water out with a little bucket. And normally that I'm the one who does that because I'm a little bit like a noob still. But like yeah, like if you read that you can do that in paper, it sounds awful. But when you're with your crew and you're like, okay, you do this, I'll do this. Please help me with that. Like the sails, we need to move them to the to with the wind. It's so good. Like you get caught up in the whole like teamwork aspect. It's just so
it's
good.
very anecdotal as well. Like
Yeah,
every session you play is very different to the other one. Like some session you just like get ganked by a crew and then you lose everything, and then some pirates attack you, and then a megalodon, a fucking shark that just like bites off your ship, and you're like, I can't catch a break. And then some other days it's like chill, you're just doing things, finding treasures, doing fetch quests. And I think that that's something that is really wholesome. And also it's kind of like it's not a shooter. Like that's the other thing. Like it's a game that it's something else. I think that also like some games really need that. Like not everything has to be like a battle royale or like a PvP, sweaty arena. And I think that this also nails it in that direction. And the fact that here's what I think is the best part. If someone was to say like, oh, should I buy the Witch Queen from Destiny, I would be like, you probably need to like play like 60 hours of Destiny to like be able to like fully enjoy it. And like you definitely need like a bunch of people that when you say like, okay, we're gonna go and face this challenge, like everyone has to be ready. Here day one you have like the same sword, the same weapons and anyone else. Like there's no like, if you die it's kind of like a permadeath. Like you lose everything and then you come back again in the next session and I think that's great. Like it's a game that anyone can play at any time.
Yeah.
Like you're not really missing out.
It's a high risk, high reward if you want it, or just a chill. I just gonna go fishing and mind my own business on that little island on the corner of the map, and so hopefully an asshole will not come and sink my ship and then light it on fire. And
And
yeah,
and then
Karma,
feel-
John. It'll get you
Exactly.
eventually.
oh, it got me. It got me yesterday. After we left playing, I was playing on my own, and I got just ganked, literally gang banged by like two boats, and yeah, it was pretty fantastic experience.
Also, it's
Not really.
it's tense. I think those changes on rhythm. Like I was never super into Call of Duty multiplayer like before the battle royales because it was so high intensity. Like the game
All the
loop
time.
is so for, like I could play it for like 4 hours and that was it. Like and it would be like I'm dead for the rest of the fucking day. To some extent, it was very popular, so you played it, and also like, but I think that here it's different. Like it shifted so much that you really appreciate like when something is calm, you appreciate the details, and also like when something is like high intensity, you're just like running around trying to figure out what to do. And also like the first time I played it, I think I picked the wrong boat and it was like too big, so I couldn't like really handle it. Um, but I realized that also like slooping, which is a thing that they call like when you go by yourself, is really fun as well. Like you could definitely make the case that the bigger the boat does not necessarily mean like you're better off or something. Like it's just cool.
Hear that, boys? Size is not everything.
Moral of the story.
Yeah, and so is there something else you want to say about Sea of Thieves? I'm happy to talk about
No,
it.
let's wrap it
as long as you
as
want.
talk fast as possible so we can go.
Yes,
back.
So we can go back playing, guys. Yeah, I'm here like, hey, I want to play. I want to play. Come on.
Yeah,
Listen,
I'm
I
totally
want-
aware that you guys are like,
No.
Just
It's no
hankering
way.
to get out.
What I want to know is like how many nights of sleep have you skipped playing Persona 5? Because like it's
Oh
just,
yeah, that's a good question.
it's
Yeah.
like it's all like I think that you said like I'm playing this game and then 180 hours after you're like, oh, I've been playing for 90 hours. So
Yeah, there's a photo like circling around with Juan like at 10 a.m. with this face like
yeah,
just playing
yeah.
Persona. Like yeah, it's like,
I posted a video on the group that I was like, all crazy. Yeah. No, yeah. I got caught with the Persona 5 Royal bug. I've been avoiding Persona since like 2013 because I once had a Vita. Everybody recommended Persona 4 Golden. I just like I don't know. Maybe I saw reviews or I saw descriptions and it's like you're in a high school and you're handling teenagers and it's also like an RPG and I was like, this just doesn't seem my kind of jam. As you all know, like anybody who listens to the podcast, the last year was like the Japanese games renaissance for me, where I played Yakuza and just got into that so much. So this was like the right moment for me to go into Persona, and I get the hype. I totally get why this is one of the best games of the PS4 generation. I totally agree. The thing that always kept me out of Persona was like you always hear it's like a 100-hour game, and that is true. However, it doesn't feel like 100 hours. That's what I was talking with Guille, who's the other Persona fan in the group, as well as John, who you passed the vanilla one.
yeah.
That you get so caught up in the palaces, the systems, the confidence. Each day, like you wanna maybe get closer to this person so that you can have the bonus of whatever that. Like this have been the 50 hours.
Waifu, Juan.
What?
You got a waifu. You want to get closer to your waifu. That's what you want.
Yeah. Well, I think I just met mine, so this is like a new thing for me, the whole waifu thing, because I have also started to watch anime, and this is like the whole concept is kind of weird to me, but it's cool. So, but yeah, like right before I sat with you guys, I was playing, and I'm already at 50 hours, and I have no idea how I played 50 hours this game. Because like I played let me just give you a little bit of context. I played Yakuza 7, my first Yakuza, for like 40 hours, and that was like weeks of gameplay. I've played this for like a week and I'm already 50 hours in. I mean, granted, I live alone, I'm single, I don't come out of my cave for nothing other than like
I don't
bellota.
shower. I don't do.
Yeah,
anything.
I don't shower. I
Just order
don't
my
I don't
food
do any of
online.
that superficial stuff.
you have taken all your social all commitments, and you put them
Just
in
transform everything.
Persona.
Like now your friends are in there. You text, what's his name, Ryuji. You
Yeah,
text it to that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly, exactly. That's
Cool.
exactly what I'm doing. But yeah, like
It's
I just have to say. Oh, sorry. You want to say something?
No, no, I was just saying, like, also, like, I think it's a fun game. It's a chill game. I try to give it a try, but I got stuck on the first temple, like in the boss battle, and it was just like, I don't know. I got super annoyed, and at the same time, I thought that some of the temples were a bit repetitive, and I was getting like a bit, what's the name? Like frustrated with the time mechanic that it has, that you actually
Yeah,
run
that's
out
what
of
I think. It's
time.
not a chill game at all. The
Yeah.
time mechanic. If you are there, your first playthrough without a guide, without anything, you just jump in. If unless you're a really strong person and you really can choose something, it is really overwhelming. There's so many mechanics. So what should I do in this day? Am I missing something if I don't do? How do I level up my confidence? And it can get. It is pretty much a real life simulator, and I mean, I can barely handle my own life. Imagine handling a Japanese student life on the side.
Also, I
It's
love one thing. I love is like there are like a lot of cultural things, and one of the things that you see in the game when it begins is like you being sued in Japan. Like the game obviously doesn't explain this shit because it's a Japanese game, it's not a Western game. But it's like you get sued, and the thing is like when someone sues you in Japan, it means that they're gonna win. It means that you actually did something wrong. If something goes to trial, it's because you're probably fucked up. So that's also like how it starts. Like you save a woman from being sexually assaulted, and then you're the bad guy, and like it's no explanation. It's just like it's so freaking Japanese, you know. It's like and in that tone, like it stays during the whole game. Like it's like the first guy you actually have to stop is the gym teacher, right?
Yep. Kamoshida.
Kamoshida.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say about this game. I mean, it's funny that because I know that I'm late to this game. I mean, everybody who's probably interested in this game has already played it. So what I'm gonna say is just gonna be so obvious, but I'm gonna say it anyway. And it's that I think this may be one of the tightest combinations of combat, art style, music, sounds. Like everything in this game clicks in a
Yeah,
perfect
fits together.
way. Yeah, it fits together. Like I do have like some minor complaints here and there where sometimes it's very handholdy, but it kind of needs to be because it's a very complicated game. So I totally can understand. Um, but yeah, like I'm so into it. I like like
It's
as
us.
I said, it's 50 hours, and I'm not even like annoyed by anything. I just want to keep going. I just got to the end of the third palace, so I'm hanging in there.
There's six
I
of
am
them,
playing.
right?
There's six of them in Royale. Yeah, in
Yeah.
in the in the normal one, I think
It's
it's
five.
just five.
It's five. Yeah.
plus the
Exactly.
unlimited
Oh
one,
yeah,
which
the,
it
the
does,
mementos. Yeah, yeah.
and just but yeah,
But I would like to Christian. I know that to John, it's just like if I recommend it once, he's just gonna buy it and play it. I know that's not a very hard thing to do, but with Christian, I would say that the improvements that they've made. Of course, I didn't play the original one, so I don't have like the actual comparison. But Guille, who every time I talk to him about
Yeah,
something,
he actually has kind of like a. But no, for me, it was just the fact that I'm probably gonna have like try to have a discussion with him about like what actually changed versus one and the other because it's also like a very time consuming game, and it's just like I'm in this mood of like just playing whatever the fuck I want.
yeah.
So
You need to be in the move for it.
exactly. It's like, and also like I'm about to start. Well, I already started 13 Sentinels because I wanted to do like a second playthrough. So that's gonna take me a while as well.
I was on the brink of buying it the other day because I saw it like in 20 euros, and I mean, yet another Japanese cool title, and I'm very tempted.
Buy it.
I'm very tempted.
Buy it. It's
Buy
really
it.
good. Like this is the
Yeah, just
second
buy
time
it.
I'm playing it, and the first time I was like it's the thing is like the combat it's and the story it's not really that tight. I think like it's almost kind of like the counterexample of Persona. Like you have the combat, and then here you have the story and kind of like the mechanics, and then it's just it's just not really cohesive to some extent until like like for like very later in the game. But if you like understand when things are going and you like it, then you can just like go through it, kind of like a TV show to some extent.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard that it's like an RTS meets a visual novel, and
Have you
it's kind of
played
weird.
Have you played Into the Breach?
I have not. No.
So
Honestly,
it's kind of
yeah.
like it's not an RTS. It's kind of like a turn-based
Tower
strategic. Yeah,
defense kind of strategic. Yeah, it's a weird mix, but it is.
it's kind of
I
like a
mean, I haven't played that much, but
turn-based board game
Okay, that's
kind of.
cool.
Yeah,
plus a graphic novel. That's the other part.
it's 90% graphic novel, 10%.
Okay. I
And
think
also you
I'm
have
gonna buy
waifus.
it just like when I get out of this call. I'm gonna go straight buy it because
I
as
don't
I
know if
said,
it's
I
in
mean,
sale right now, but even if you don't get it on sale, I think it's worth it. I have played just for a couple of hours because yeah, I'm just
The
Sea
story
of
is really
Thieves
good.
is taking everything from me. So
The story is
yeah,
really like a slow burn. Like that's the thing. Like that game would never be made in the US, and not only because it's completely like inappropriate, because sometimes you're like, it's the sci-fi story justifies the fact that they're like teenage women like naked driving mechs, but beyond that, it's disjointed, it's chaotic, like it's long, like what they're trying to tell as a story, but it's good. It's
yeah,
good. It's really good. So
yeah. That was on what honestly made me buy it. Apart from all the good reviews and
recommendations. Yeah.
from the group and recommendations, it's just I'm a really big sci-fi person. I love good sci-fi stories, and every time that I see this game comes out, it's like the defining sci-fi story of gaming this year or this generation or all these big titles. No? So for me, it was like, oh, if so many people are saying this about this, and it's such a great sci-fi story, at least there's some true in there. I don't think everybody's lying to me. Like I'm not that cynic, but yeah. So and so far, what I plan, I'm really invested. Just sadly, there's a pirate life calling me, and I cannot.
Arr.
Yeah, I cannot invest that much time in the game. Plus the other game that I've been playing that probably will speak now in the last segment of the podcast. But yeah, just kind of abandoned everything for Sea of Thieves, and yeah, I'm just gonna get a tattoo of Sea of Thieves by this point. Like I'm in
You
love.
can
I'm
just
addicted.
do like sailor tattoos and say like because of
Yeah,
CFC.
yeah. I'm a
And then
pirate now.
exactly, and someone says like, it's like went to you can adapt. It's like, I went to prison, or like, I was a sailor, I was just playing the Sea of Thieves.
I've been sailing the seven seas here, like
Yeah.
sitting comfortably in my couch.
Fine.
But yeah,
The other game I was playing is Nobody Saves the World. I can't recommend this game enough. What a fucking solid thing. Game Pass for the win. You can be a horse and fire arrows. You can be a wizard, and then pull things out of a hat that they are familiars and they attack the enemies. And you can do that while you're also a zombie that gets damaged. And the story is great. The dungeons are super fun. The
The writing
people
is super funny as well, right?
the writing is funny, but it's like it's not like this super driven story thing. It's like you have characters, missions. The missions are great. It has puzzles. Like there is one mission that you have to fall in love, find unbridled love, and then the only way to do that is with a horse, and then you have
oh,
to
that was
reach.
just about to say.
You
Yeah.
need
Oh
to
man.
unlock the horse form, because you go unlocking forms as you go and leveling up, and it's super fun. Like it's just I
That
think
was
that if
yeah.
it wasn't
That's the
for
one.
Sea of Thieves, I would have finished that game twice. But I'm also playing that one, and I have to say that thanks to Skill Up for recommending it, because probably I would have skipped it. But man, that game is good. I even saw a review that gave it a 7, and was like, man, like, no, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. This game is great.
Yeah, I tried with Juan in the co-op, and I was not really convinced. Probably because it was really late when we did it too. It was like 3 a.m. in the morning or something like that. So I was already like, but I gave it a try after one of my
You
trips.
you played without me,
Yeah, I
you
play without you. I'm
bastard.
sorry. I do think, even though it has co-op and everything, I do think it is a better solo because all the how you call, like, the progress that you made, it's on you. It's not on my thing. So when I started, I was from zero. So I think it's just like a help there, but you're on your side. You're not advancing. But yeah, I was actually at the beginning. I was really like, But then I start playing some and start unlocking. I passed the first, like the castle, which is like the first main dungeon, and I was like, wow, then this game is actually getting pretty. It's like a fun Diablo. Like, I'm not saying that Diablo
Yeah,
is not fun, but like I mean, like in a fun, like jokey, cartoony type of things, you
it's
know?
as if Diablo asks you to play with different classes at the same time.
Yeah,
Like you
and it
can,
goes bananas, and it
yeah,
goes like completely not serious at all. And yeah, that part, that part with the horse, that was the thing that I said, this game is great. Like this got me, like the way he described how you fell in love with a horse and how you feel so safe just leaning your horse body against this horse, this stallion. It was so kind of weird in the beginning. I was like, is this gonna get into some type of like weird animal porn shit?
the
But no,
puzzles
it
are
doesn't.
amazing, all of
Yeah,
them.
it is just it's just it's just a fun game. It's not pretending to be anything that it is not. It's just fun, and it's just pure fun. And
And day one good. Like it's just
day one good.
no.
There's no bugs or anything. It just works. And I mean, Game Pass, which now I can proudly say, hey, I'm part of this crap. So yeah, it's amazing. So,
Long live
John,
the
a
Game
Game
Pass.
Pass shield. Who would have thought?
yeah, the PlayStation boy got an Xbox, and now, to be fair, and that's something crazy. You can hang me. I don't care. I've been playing more Xbox than PlayStation so far. So
Yeah,
I
so am I.
think,
So
yeah.
am I.
And I have the PS5 with the whatever 120 million frames per second and the 12K resolution and everything that you want. But hey, I'm playing more my Series S. What can I say?
R.
What can I say? R, totally R.
Our mans. Well, I just want to summarize the whole Japanese sentiment thing with two words. I think that this is going to be sort of maybe
Okay.
my mantra, and I think
Wait, cultural appropriation here. Watch it.
yeah,
Watch it.
cultural appropriation time.
Don't get canceled.
Don't worry, I won't. Well, it depends on both on the both of you if I can cancel.
Ghost of Tsushima was made by Americans, so it's
Yes,
a bad game.
it's
Juan.
horrible.
It's a bad game.
Maybe that
Only
could
Greek,
be
only Greek people can do God of War.
exactly. But yeah, so my movement hashtag is gonna be trust Japan. That's it. Trust Japan.
I've been telling you that for a long time.
Cool.
That's it.
That's
There's
the
a
spirit.
lot of creepy shit and a lot of weird shit, but when
Yes.
things are good, and even the creepy weird shit, it's amazing. So
Yes,
It's
exactly.
amazing. Long live Japan.
So, is there another game that maybe you wanted to mention, John, or did we cover it?
Returnal, yeah,
Oh.
I started playing Returnal. I did play it for a while. Again, I abandoned pretty much all in my life the same thing you do with Persona. I'm doing with Sea of Thieves. Actually, I'm being a pirate, so it's kind of makes sense that I'm not showering anymore. But yeah, no, Returnal, it's a great game. I'm actually pretty impressed. If it were not for Sea of Thieves, I would probably be head on that game. I don't understand all the complaints. Maybe because I did play it with this patch of like hold the run or whatever it's called. Uh,
You mean the complaints where like you would open another game, then you get fucked.
Yeah.
okay, I can see that. I just don't. If I die, okay. I died, so that's it. I stopped playing. Like
So the
whatever.
first time you played it, you reached like the second biome. So probably it's
I died.
you're
I
real
died in the
different.
third biome. So I died in the third biome. I passed the first and the second boss on my first try, and I died on the
Wow.
third biome. And then I was. Then you proposed playing Sea of Steve, and then that I forgot
Man,
about everything. So
you're a mad lad.
And now we're here.
Between you and Carlos has finished the game on the 12th attempt. I was like, wow.
yeah, but I mean, that's a weird thing compared to Hades. It did take me at least 10, 11 tries to pass the first boss in like the Furies
Yeah, the
on
Fury.
Hades. It took me
Mech.
longer, and this way I was like, really, people are saying this game is so complicated. I'm hoping it's getting harder at some point because I know there's two acts on the game, and the first three biomes is the first act, and then the other three is the second act.
No,
At least,
it's if you reach that one, you probably reach the if you the third. I would say the third biome is the difficult to pick for
Yep.
the game 100%.
I agree. I
okay.
agree.
Okay. Well, I died there, so maybe I'm not that good. Maybe that's my Furies.
No,
but, I mean,
there's just like two bosses that there are two things. First one is kind of like the drones that fire you. That's just absolute bullshit, and then and that's it. I think that's the point where you're like, what the fuck is going on? And other than that, the other enemies they hit hard, but as long as you stay out of range and don't ever pick the shotgun, that's it.
yeah. Okay. Good to know. Good tips. Good tips. Yeah, but I think as any roguelite, it's a matter of luck. Like if you get a good roll in the beginning and you get good upgrades, that will make everything
So
easier for you. I feel. I don't know.
it's weird because it's. I think that this game I mean, this game, the first half, I absolutely loved it. I was like mind blown by a lot of the things that it was doing. I think then the story takes a turn that you're probably gonna give me your opinion later, how you feel about it. But I think that mechanics wise, it does a poor job of explaining stuff, and then it's not really that complex. Like the parasites, they're perks with trade offs, and like to be fair, like some of those trade offs are just not good. So once you know which parasites are good, you stop doing trade offs. Like there's no synergy between some of the things, and then some weapons are just consistently better than others. Like the pylon, it's just good. Like it's just you can just hit a shitload of things, do a bunch of DPS, hide, and then that's one of the weapons. Also, like the one that's like kind of like a venom
The
weapon,
lover.
the lobber.
Yep.
That one you see it and you probably think like this is kind of shit, but at the same time it's not. Like once you actually learn how to use it, it's like okay, this is effectively probably like almost cheating. So those things I didn't like that much. Like there's no much depth to the game, I would say. So once you understand those, you get it out of the way, and it's like and the game becomes easy. I think.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like I think all roguelites, that's kind of like their curse, because I know in Dead Cells there's particular I don't know, I don't remember it's called parasites or how they call in Dead Cells, but there's particular things that you can grab in particular weapon that makes you pretty OP.
There are
The same with
the
Hades, you
curses.
know,
There are the
the
curses
curses. Yeah,
in Dead Cells. They have the
and in
curses.
Hades, if you get the bow and arrow,
Yeah, but with Dead Cells, you have a lot of synergies, a lot of decision makings, and then you have like the skill trees that you go through, and they're pretty big. So I think that it's Dead Cells definitely, and also Dead Cell has like several paths to get to the same
yeah,
place.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
and
yeah.
here it's like very linear. Like I'm not shitting on this game that much. This game is like I think it was good, but also I think that it's a short game. Like once you actually finished it, that's it. You could have kind of like you can finish it like twice for kind of like the real ending, but that honestly, I don't even recommend it that much. But I think it's cool. You know, it just
Yeah, so it doesn't like because I did feel with Hades, which I love. I felt it kind of was the same thing. I just find like the bow and arrow with the homing arrows going, and then you go with the Athena Zeus boons. I think they're
the
called.
boons.
Yeah, and that was it. Like once I figured that out, I was like, this game is just this is a cheese. I'm a cheese in this game. And then I did the ten runs to get the
The real
ending of
ending.
the
Yeah.
game. Yeah, pretty quick. Like once I did that, it was like, okay, this is done. I just died several times a minute, but once I figured out it was so. But then
But
I
that
guess
game,
Returnal is that way. Like
but
it's
you have the aspects. You can max out like all the other gods and then do kind of like the family reunion thingy. There's I would say like it's hard to compare it with Hades because Hades is just way too good and like a lot of content. But I think that this game also in Hades, if you die, you keep advancing something, where it's the story, the your hop. Like so
glad
here,
the world react
yeah,
to where you are. Yeah.
here you die and you fucking died. Like, like they say that the weapons get better, and I think that they kind of do, but nothing like the only way to actually make progress is killing a boss and then being able to
Yeah.
unblock.
But you get some stuff. No, I don't know. I don't know if this is that set or not. Because again,
No, you
I'm
don't
just
get
playing. So I
anything.
got like the sword for
The sword,
maybe
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Like
Every time you
like a
kill a
grappling
you
hook.
you
Yeah,
you keep it. Yeah.
every time you
yeah,
kill a
exactly.
boss, you get a piece of equipment that makes you a little bit. It gives you a little bit more freedom. And there's like one other thing that it's kind of like hidden that just lets you walk on lava. But other than that, you die. You died.
And you
And
need to kill the boss every time, or it's
no, no, no,
just
no. The bosses are optionals after the first one.
that's kind of weird, huh?
If you
That's
want to kill them, well, it would be a pain in the ass because like some of them like they hit like a truck, and then the thing with the bosses is like they weaken you for kind of like whatever is next if you don't like know exactly the patterns, and like some of them are
so it's your choice. Like, hey, I really want to suffer. I want to prove to myself that I'm fucking good at this game. Let me fight this boss and let go survival
yeah.
mode and like
I
okay,
think that the time when I
that's
did
good to know that.
the true ending, I killed like two of the bosses because I was like, I'm just gonna go like full on insane. And after that, it's like okay, I'm just gonna like collect all the things that I need for the ending, and then I actually did it, and it was just like one really good run. And at the end, I was just like massively powerful. Like the last boss had no fucking like doesn't know what hit him to this day, but
He still
I
has.
think that it's a game that it's good at being a next gen game, like the whole thing with the triggers, taking advantage of the loading times. It looks good. It runs at 60 FPS. Like it's solid. So in that regard, I think that I give it like a lot of credit. In the same way that I give Demon Souls a lot of credit, like they're not shooters. Like even though this one's a shooter, like they're not really like just a shooter. Like they are something deeper, and I think that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, maybe it is a base. Maybe it's a base for this studio, Housemark, to start developing something else, and then maybe their next game,
Also,
which
this is their
maybe it's
first
not be a
3D
Returnal
game.
2, but
This
yeah.
is their first 3D game, and that's great. So
So I mean, for being a first try on something, I do.
Yeah,
Even though I
absolutely.
haven't played that much, I find that to be a pretty solid game. I mean, it's a Sony studio, like a Sony first party, so there's a like quality
they're
standards.
kind of like a
So
Bulletstorm studio. That's what they
yeah,
did before this one, and now they're doing 3D, and I think that's cool. So
yeah. So yeah, let's hope their next game, which probably will not be a Returnal 2. I don't think that will be the case, or we will see some Days Gone
Returnal.
type re-Returnal.
Return.
And let's see, maybe they will improve in that. I would really love to see some, like, so far again, I would like to see something else from these people, because it's a pretty catching, at least on my or what the type of things that I like, even aesthetically, and the art of the game and the whole vibe or ambience of the game. It's what really captured me. And the whole set pieces when you get in the house and you have this astronaut, which I don't know what it is. There's probably I'm already more or less trying to kind of making the story on my head. I don't think it's gonna be something mind blowing that, oh wow. In the end, there's she probably Celine is the astronaut. I don't want to spoil, but probably is. Please don't
no,
answer
no,
that
we're gonna
question.
spoil. It's okay.
So there's something. It's like a guilt trip. That's what I feel like. This whole thing is some guilt that she has in her head, and she's dealing with that. So it's kind of interesting with all this sci-fi setting. So I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know. Don't correct me. I don't want to know. But yeah, so far it's an amazing game. Like for what it is, and I
See.
didn't pay full price for it. So I'm that's make it way better. Even if I get disappointed, hey, I just paid like half price. So
It's good.
yeah.
Well, boys, we've reached the end of the episode. If you liked this, please subscribe, like it, comment, share it with your friends. We always recommend you share it with your grandma, because we think this is very good senior citizen content. But I don't know. We'll leave that
We
to
love
you.
grandmas here. Yeah.
Absolutely. Not in the way you're thinking, but yeah, we do love them. So yeah. That's gonna end the show. I'm not gonna say anything more. Just trust
Goodbye.
Japan.
Take care.
Yeah. Just put there. Sea of Thieves. Goodbye. See you.